Hello, and welcome to the 6th episode of my Harbinger developer commentary. Today we're going to be taking on the Yellow Wool area, Logger's Revenge, which, if any of you have played the original Roller Coaster Tycoon, this is a reference to that, just in case you were curious. Last episode we got the lime wool, and it's in the ender chest. I haven't gone and placed it on the monument yet. We can do that at the end of this episode probably. So now let's head in here. And blocks. I'm going to get blocks. I'm not going to forget them this time. Let's get rid of you. Put you on the bar as well, I guess. Yeah, I'll just grab some blocks from over here. I've basically just been dumping shulker boxes like this, and that's my only storage system. I don't really have any blocks, which is a bit annoying because I do give out a lot of blocks in the map, but apparently I'll just use some wood, I guess. That will do. Right, now let's actually begin. Yeah, so this is a reference, or the name is a reference to Roller Coaster Tycoon, and I couldn't remember if any of these actually had TNT under or not. But apparently at least one does. But that's not really the point of this area. The point is to keep you looking at the floor so that you can then get dropped on by creepers when you come over this bit. But I did at least put one very non-threatening trap in with that one. Because there's almost no way you could trigger that pressure plate and not be able to escape. Like, it doesn't. The TNT doesn't go very far forwards or backwards, but there are creeper spawners above here, and there may actually be an item up there, I can't remember, and those spawners will kill you if you kind of are staring over, like looking down at this drop bit. So I think that's one of the better traps in the map. Right, this area is sort of an underground cave with some stalagmites and stalactites and everything made of ice trees and just ice everywhere basically. Let's light you up and then come down here. I do not want to get surrounded by those skeletons because they do hurt quite a lot. Speaking of which, let's immediately get surrounded by those skeletons. Thankfully they are very slow, which allows us to deal with them pretty easily as long as we see them coming. And I'm not sure what's in this chest. More carrots. Yeah, so basically if you don't have renewable food by this point, you will do. Because I wanted to set the map up to be at a level that you could always reset. It was just a matter of time, and you could always, particularly you could always grind to get better gear and everything. So enchantments are limited somewhat, but you do get anvils in this area, and you get plenty of anvils. So the thing with this intersection is if you go to the left, you get bookshelves first, so you get 3 bookshelves. And if you come this way, you get anvils. Did not. The other thing about these is they kind of get in the way when you're trying to fight other mobs. Yeah, you get anvils coming this way, so you have a choice. Each side gives you slightly more stronger gear, so whichever one you want to do first. Anvils are probably more powerful, but still, the bookshelves that let you get higher level enchants are also good. Getting protection 2 on all your gear will make you pretty powerful as well. And there's a decent amount of lapis in the Black Forest Chateau as well. So, more creepers. Yeah, definitely a more creeper-heavy intersection, this one. And the ice trees just make it a bit more difficult to spam torch. I did change out a lot of the ice in this area for packed ice, but there's still the odd bit of normal ice that will mess you up if you're not careful. And we're being a little bit slow on this, I think. I'm just going to create a couple of holes for ice to melt into. Some more bread is always useful. Food's quite a good thing to give out for areas like this. I'm considering in future maps moving to food not being as important, or at least possibly giving ways around food. So perhaps kind of permanent saturation above 6 hearts and then on hardcore mode or something. So the only way you can heal is through golden apples and healing potions. I think that could be an interesting way to approach a map. Because you'd have all of your movement abilities, and you wouldn't need food because you'd constantly have saturation. I mean, it's not quite. It's similar to what Render does. However, food is still your main healing method in that in Render's maps, which I really like. I think that's one of my favourite things about them. Is that food system. And again, I'm out of torches. And again, I could cheat or I could run back. I think I'm just going to cheat. Give at P torch 257. You didn't see that. It doesn't count. Again, because I'm playing this map for probably the 10th time. I'm not overly concerned. I know that I'm not meant to be struggling for torches at this point in the map. I just forget to keep crafting them and getting coal and all of those things I just haven't been doing. And off you go. In fact, yeah, so something I do with quite a lot of the cave areas in this map is add these. Good job I didn't get knocked off there. Is add these pits that drop into something. So in section 1 it's a lava pit, and in this intersection it's pits of void. And I wouldn't call this a void area. Like, unless you do something very wrong, you won't fall into the void. But what it does is it kind of adds to the jeopardy that the player feels like they're in. There's a few things that people are scared of, like a few mobs, cave spiders and charge creepers that kind of people are more scared of them than they probably should be. And whereas most vanilla Minecraft mobs, people are so used to seeing them now that, and particularly like other CTM players, which, you know, you see even something like this is probably a lot more dangerous than. I've got thorns on my armor. I forgot about that. It's probably more dangerous than, say, a cave spider. Particularly, the skeletons with axes are more dangerous than a cave spider. But people have it in their brain that cave spiders are dangerous, and skeletons with melee weapons aren't really. And because there's that like immediate association, it's quite a good way. That immediate association is the same with anything void. They see void and they think it's scary, when in reality it is functionally identical to the lava pits in section 1. But people are used to seeing pits of lava and then not as used to seeing pits of void. So you get to use that like shorthand as a way to put someone on edge. Let's eat up some of this. Yeah, so like mapping shorthand almost for this is something you should be afraid of. And this is something you should be afraid of. Being withered and chased by many strays is probably something you should be afraid of. Luckily, the bow, Beldroth's bows all stay useful for quite long periods in the map. Where are they? I don't know why they stopped following me, but they should die now. And here we get some more lapis as well as our yellow shulker box. So that's the yellow shulker box for this area. I'm pretty sure there is a shulker box in every area. I think that was something I did deliberately. And shulker boxes are just so good for transport and moving items. Like, feasibly, this is about the only area that you would fall off into the void. But because there's void here, it stops you just from coming straight across. I heard a creeper, so I don't know if he's the only creeper. I think there is a spawner higher up or something, but I am going to ignore it, and well, I would have ignored it. I was warned, I knew it was there, I even said it was there, and then still almost killed me. Right, so I've got to be careful coming back about that creeper spawner. And these rafters, I think, just look like nice supports. I think I got the idea from Uncharted Territories, probably. But just using these like stone brick pillars makes it look like it was more civilized, and this was a deliberate cave. Whereas when you don't use them, it goes for a more natural setting, or at least this is kind of a habited setting. Problem with knockback swords is that often they just mean, we need to get rid of this spawner. Often they just mean you knock a range enemy away from you, and then they can just hit you whenever they want. Having slowness is not fun. Yeah, I probably should have enchanted an iron sword, because although having the knockback and the mending and the fire aspect on this one is really good, it's really not that helpful against anything other than spiders, which is, by design, it's kind of made to be like that. But yeah, I probably should have enchanted this iron sword before coming into this area, because this intersection is a bit tougher than the first one, as I mentioned. See, there's the coal. We could have made torches ourselves, so I didn't have to cheat them in. I don't really have any excuse for that. It was just laziness. I could have. Maybe I should have just turned off the camera, said I was going back to get some, and then done it. But you know, I didn't want to lie to you guys. Right. Apparently, there are quite a lot of skeletons in this intersection. And the thing about this tower is it spawners on every level, so if you're too slow, they just rack up pretty quickly. Right, let's. Where are they spawning from? Is there? Yeah. I never think to look up, and I don't really place spawners above you that often, so they always get me. Right. Some more golden apples might come in handy as we move up. Yellow bricks because I can. Because we're in the yellow area. Needs a bit more detailing. Holes in the roof to kill you as well. But generally, it shouldn't be too tough. Get rid of that spawner. I'm a bit annoyed that I died when I did, because I think a deathless run is definitely possible. And would have been nice to do my own map deathless, but you know, creepers and bad Minecraft player mean death is always a possibility. And I have got down to half a heart since, so it's not as if I've been flawless other than fat fingering the inventory key. That is a lot of skeletons. You're gonna get out of here. Oh, didn't mean to fall down that hole, but we did. More lapis. And an iron axe, which, if I had a sharpness book, would be pretty handy actually. I'd forgotten you were there. I'd forgotten I blocked you in for a reason. Right, let's head back up. And I can hear the zombies gradually accumulating upstairs as well. Okay, this is getting a bit mental. Let's come through here and run upstairs and try and find those zombie spawners that are churning out mobs. This used to be a hole that I patched with walls just to make it, because otherwise the mob that falls down is a bit too powerful, I think. Right. Yeah, these skeletal lumberjacks will do quite a significant chunk of damage if they get to you. So, of course, we have to make sure they do not. I'll see how much damage... Oh, I was going to see how much damage they do. Managed not to take a hit there, which is good. There is one more over there, so if I can get him to come and see me. He doesn't seem interested, but we'll take a swiftness potion. And they drop these lumberjack hatchets, which are pretty powerful, so I maybe shouldn't have destroyed the spawner, but hey, we have anvils, so... right. Yeah, sharpness 2 iron axes are really strong, actually. What do I want to take? I don't want you, or you, or you. I do have this shulker box, and let's... just clear out some stuff. And then we will... We're not even close to having the wool or anything yet either. And I've been going for 20 minutes, so I'll try and pick up the pace a little bit here. Strays are just the worst because they give you slowness. And there's the wool. Or is it? Of course, I would put my blocks away. Why wouldn't I? I don't think blocks are important, apparently. And it's just a carrot on a stick, so no wool here. But how did that die? What there is here, though, is anvils, which is the kind of point of this dungeon, is to give you anvils and make you have to work for them somewhat. So I will nab a couple of these. Probably don't need to take both of them, but hey, we've got them now. And I'm just going to ignore the strays here, I think. Yeah, so I didn't really clear it out, so instead of going the proper way, I'm going to come this way and slightly cheese my escape. I think I may have anticipated someone doing this and put some skeleton spawners in the way, but hey, wasn't enough to stop me. Right. So now I'm just going to head back to the intersection. Let's get through here. And now we should be safe to head most of the way back, and then I'm just going to put down this shulker box and dump off the anvils and things so that we have so that we've just got some things to keep if we die, because the actual wool dungeon may well kill us as well. Right, let's dump you there with all of this. I guess I'll just take that. Top up you, get rid of you, you, and you. And you. Put you on the bar. And yeah, I'll just leave the box here, and then I can grab it on my way back once I've got the wool. Right, and that's another good thing about shulker boxes, is they're just like very easy temporary storage. Right, so this is the actual path to the wool, which has a higher chance of knocking you into the void, but again, if you're playing reasonably carefully, it shouldn't do. Hopefully by standing over here I'm not spawning too many other things, but you never know. Apparently I was spawning at least one creeper. Yeah, this wall is reasonably thick, so it won't actually let you get through, or you can't just take a shortcut through very easily, and if you do, you'll probably die anyway, because there's spawners on the other side. Right. I'm just going to torch run most of this, I think, and do that. Right, something broke and there's creepers, so I am now going to retreat with slowness because strays are very annoying. Right, so let's kind of take stock of where we're at. And put a torch there and there. And hopefully now we should be able to recover somewhat. And by recover somewhat, I mean almost die, probably. Let's eat this. I'm conscious that a creeper fell on us when we were in that corner before, and I don't want it to happen again, but I don't know if there's anything else I can do, really. Right. Yeah, torch running, I'm not very good at it, but it can also go quite wrong quite quickly. Let's hope we get through this a bit more easily this second time. And let's come up onto this wall and get rid of these spawners quickly. Yeah, so you can sort of cheat and go through, just dig through that, which is a pretty valid and probably the best way of dealing with this area, because I don't think there's... This is a really nice area though. I like the feel of that. I think it's kind of cozy, which is obviously not the vibe you're necessarily going for with cozy, but hey, it does a job. Let's just go on. We need this. Running into one of these tents to break a spawner is a pretty bad idea, because like getting cornered is always a bad idea in a CTM map, or just any kind of horde mode, which Minecraft is kind of a horde mode at times. Yeah, you can see there's a decent thickness of wall there, so just you won't be able to just blast through from a creeper or something. I do not want to eat a spider eye. And there is void underneath me, so I don't want to pause on here for too long. Let's get rid of you. Getting very sick of these strays with their slowness arrows. And these torches are all going to melt, but hey, not my problem. I will hopefully be long gone. Right, let's take this speed potion to try and counteract the slowness that we've got, and let's just chuck away most of this. Chuck it right in front of us so that we pick it back up immediately. Don't want to be wasteful. Right. Yeah, so initially the kind of development of this area was initially it was just a massive cave. There was none of these stone structures or even the holes of the void. And I think it was RaphaX, maybe someone from the one of my original beta testers who were all very helpful, but particularly RaphaX and a couple of others were very like constructive, and he, rather than being like this is a massive empty cave and it's not very good, he sort of encouraged me to rethink, and actually having a big empty cave is not the worst thing as long as you're willing to put the time in, because it's like an empty canvas, right? You can do whatever you want to with it, and putting in these walls and adding these walkways I think really improves the area. So yeah, this is one of the biggest transformations from the original beta to what it is now, and it's I'm now quite happy and proud of the area. So hooray for good beta testing, and also for like being patient with people. I think particularly with a first time mapper, like when you've been working with something for a long time, and maybe this is just me, so maybe this isn't something that other people feel like, but when you've been working on something for a long time, you get a bit too close to it and you can't really see, like, even if sometimes you kind of know there's a problem, you don't necessarily think it's that bad, or you can't really like work out what the problem is. You just think, oh, it's not quite how I want it to be. And I'm running low on food, which isn't very good. Should have brought more food with me from the shulker box, but here we are. Use our bow more, because bows are very good at conserving food, I find. So we'll run forward, trigger the spawners. Like with the very first area of this map, something BSM said when he was playing was just that it was very grey and quite boring to look at. And that's obviously something that's changed now, or at least the greyness has. Whether you think it's boring to look at is a bit more subjective. But that was an area where I'd had it for so long, and sort of you stop being able to look at it and think kind of critically, or you just sort of I also just want to get the project done as well, which is an underestimated factor, I think. There's spawners under all these pillars, which I keep forgetting about, but and that is a ghast. It's very hard to place torches on ice, or it's not very hard, but you shouldn't, because it will melt, and then this will happen. Hopefully it doesn't melt the actual pathway. We have 2 pieces of food to complete our... What I'm going to do is just give myself regen with a very bad throw, and just run up. I think that's probably the best method for approaching this wool dungeon. And then once you have got it, you can just drop back down like that. And yeah, now we have the yellow wool. This room was made significantly easier because it wasn't hugely fun. If you fall off, there's still enough spawners that you'll probably die. But there's also now there used to be a skeleton spawner there as well, and just a lot more things that could go wrong. More spawners down below. So now at least it is pretty easily beatable, whilst also hopefully still offering a challenge. The ghasts don't really have the effect they're meant to, but hey. And the aesthetic of it is just like a big diamond brush, which was very much deliberate. I was trying to do what I think I've done it better in the orange wool area, where you use a deliberate brush stroke, but kind of do it in a way that it's obviously deliberate, and therefore it's more kind of stylized than just lazy. But I think in orange it works quite well because it fits the theme of the area, whereas here it doesn't in the same way, because it does just look like I didn't really know how to make anything other than a just diamond shaped cave there. Yeah, and so that is going to be this area. We've pretty much cleared it out, and we've got the wool, we've got the shulker box, and we've got the anvils, which is the 3 biggest things to get from this area, from Logger's Revenge. So I think that's been a success. I will keep recording just in case I die on the way back, because I didn't completely conquer everything. But yeah, good advice leads to much better areas. I will actually just quickly kind of fly through. So you can sort of imagine that these walls aren't here, and you don't get fed like snaking around. The actual length of the area is much shorter if you don't have that, and there's much less peril. So when you're here, you've got a few blocks wide, so you shouldn't fall off unless something goes very wrong. But on one side you've got this this void area, and on the other side you've got this camp that if you fall down into, there's a decent number of spawners. There's also some loot and stuff, but if you get knocked into here, you might be in trouble. So yeah, you get to kind of add some jeopardy through environmental factors and not just through powerful mobs. The other thing with having wide open areas is it's like almost impossible to make that fun, I think, because the only ways to say you've got a big wide open area and you're not funneling a player through this gap here, the player can then just run around mobs. Like the mobs don't have very long reach apart from like skeletons, and skeletons aren't hugely fun. So the way you then solve that problem is to put lots of spawners across, so that they can't run around all of those mobs, right? They have to pick a point to go at. But then that very quickly you end up with just mob spam, and it's really hard to balance big flat areas because of that and make them fun. So by kind of limiting the path to being these much thinner walkways and thinner areas, you have so much more control over what the player does, but also how you can engage with the player, and you control where the player is going to be and all of those things, which in a Minecraft game where, particularly in survival, obviously you can place blocks, you can dig through walls, you can do whatever you want. So designing around players doing what they want is difficult but important, I think. And this is one of the biggest lessons I learned from actually beta testing a map, was how important having like limiting play area was, or at least kind of suggesting routes and paths. And I think half slabs are a really good way of doing this because people don't like jumping, and half slabs make it faster. So anywhere you put half slabs, the player is going to go, for instance. And with other methods like void here, so the player obviously could bridge across from there to there, but it would take longer and it wouldn't be as fun. So they go the longer route, which allows you to then control better what mobs they have to fight and where you're going to put spawners and all of those things. So yeah, I hope that's kind of interesting as to what I was thinking about when I was making this area, and how it changed kind of going through different versions. I am going to put myself down here in survival, grab this shulker box and head back to the intersection. That's going to be it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the area and enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.